Alrighty guys, today we're talking about glow plugs. Glow plugs are probably one of the most common questions, second to the fuel system, asked about IDIs. Basically, a glow plug is, for lack of better terms, a heating element that heats up your combustion chamber on a diesel. So the air-fuel mixture will combust easier in colder temperatures. On the IDIs, I've kind of noticed you need a good glow plug system working year-round. Probably the most commonly asked question is, what glow plug should I buy? And there's a lot of aftermarket brands out there. I will say I am kind of biased towards the ZD9 Motorcrafts because I've never had an issue with them. I've even pulled old ones out and changed them out, and all the resistance tested good on the old glow plugs, and the tips weren't significantly swelled. Some of the problems that can occur with some of the aftermarket glow plugs, I've had a horrible experience with auto lights, from breaking off in the head to swollen tips and having trouble. See, when that tip swells, I've had trouble getting that past the glow plug hole in the engine cylinder head. So my personal 2 cents is, get the Motorcraft ZD9s. You definitely don't want to deal with a glow plug tip breaking off and ruining a motor, which there is several individuals that can testify to that. But anyway, quick and easy way to check resistance is get yourself an auto ranging multimeter. I got it set on ohm measurement for resistance. Glow plug should not exceed 1 ohm of resistance. The glow plug grounds out on the threads there. So I'm going to touch the top terminal lead, and then I'm going to touch the threads. I'm going to try to do this with one hand. Okay. And there we... Wait, okay, so you can see... I don't got a good enough connection. Let me try this one more time. There we go. Okay. Come on. Okay, so about 0.4, 0.5. You don't want anything over 1. It's okay if it's moving a little bit, because trying to do this one hand, it's kind of moving up and off the leads, but you don't want your resistance measurement on any of your glow plugs to be over 1. Obviously, it's burnout. It's got too much resistance. It's not going to heat up. When you take these out, be very careful, like I said before, in case of a swelled tip. This is a 3/8, I think, or equivalent 10 millimeter. And I always throw some anti-seize, some copper anti-seize on the threads when I put new glow plugs back in. And that's about it. And simple resistance test to test the glow plugs. You can do this test inside the motor, I guess. You can touch that to the lead, and you can just kind of ground it to where it grounds on the block. Make sure your surface is clean if you're doing the test on the cylinder head itself. But the winter coming up, I just recently checked my glow plugs, and even after a year, all my Motorcrafts are still testing at good resistance. The next thing you want to check for on your glow plug system is make sure your glow plug controller is working properly. You should hear a very distinctive click when it turns off, and it may click on and off. Basically, what's happening is your controller is basically a timer, and it measures the resistance in the glow plugs, and as the temperature increases in the glow plug, so does the resistance. So when it gets to a certain resistance, it kicks the controller off and kicks the glow plugs off. Because obviously, if it just stayed on constantly, it would burn up your glow plugs. But I can't do this with one hand. But basically, you got your positive and your negative terminal here, and with it off, it should be around 12 volts. And with it running, it should be, when your key is on, it should be under well under 1 volt. I was at like 0.15 with my controller running. So just a quick volt measurement there to make sure it's operating properly. And if you have a manual, like a push button controller, it doesn't take very long, a few seconds. I installed the automatic controller because I was having problems with frying plugs, even at only 10 seconds at a time. I was still having trouble with my plugs getting hot. Of course, it was around the same time period I was dealing with the auto light, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't the manual button itself, but you still want to be careful. You don't want to fry your glow plugs even with a push button with Motorcrafts. Anyway, hopefully that helps and kind of guides you in the right direction if you're looking to do a tune-up right before the cold weather hits. All right.